Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today we are bringing you the latest from the studio STX. It's a low budget studio. I always confuse their name. STX, latest film starring Gerard, Butler, called Greenland. Now, a little backstory on this film. This film was originally supposed to be released this summer, but because everything that happened around the world, they delayed the US release, but went ahead and released it in several markets overseas where the movie kind of performed well overseas. So it kind of made people wonder, will we ever get a release here in theaters? And instead, the studio decided that they would release this film on VOD. I want to say it's December the 18th. It's his release date on VOD here in the United States. But here we are, JVS, giving you an early review of this movie for this market. So, quick synopsis here. Scientists discovered that fragments of a comet will hit Earth in a few days and will likely cause an extinction level event. The only hope for survival is to take shelter in a group of bunkers in Greenland. As the world prepares for the unthinkable, family man John Garrity struggles to ensure the safety of his wife and his son as they journey across the country to get to shelter in Greenland before it's too late. Now, from that synopsis, you clearly can tell that this, people, is a disaster film. So, all tropes of disaster films are on par with this movie. So, if you've seen any disaster film before, you kind of know what you're getting into with Greenland. The thing that sticks out the most is, one, this is a micro-budgeted disaster film, which we don't get at all. I'm not gonna say much, especially released in theaters. We don't get micro-budgeted disaster films, and this it gives it a different spin because of that reason. Also, they decided with Greenland to up the emotional impact of the story. And what I mean is, if you've seen 2012, I think that was the name of that movie, Poseidon, or wow, I went way back with Poseidon, or any, Armageddon, any of these type of world-ending type of films that kind of X out a big chunks of the emotional element in it and the grittiness of it to try to just give you a popcorn flick. Greenland decided to go a different route that has not been done since Deep Impact. And if you all remember, Deep Impact and Armageddon came out the same year, the same time, but were two completely different movies about asteroids. And this is very reminiscent of Deep Impact, of attempting to pour every bit of emotion out of you for this movie. Now, I gave you a synopsis, but let's give a quick detail before we break down this film. So the film starts off very ominously. Just a comet is coming towards Earth. It's not necessarily going to destroy Earth. We'll just be able to see it. It's going to be the closest comet to ever come past Earth. And then everything changes. The trajectory of the comet changes. Gerard Butler's character receives a text message from the president notification that his family has been selected to be sent to a bunker for survival. And after that, all heck breaks loose with this film from an emotional standpoint. It's very rare that they kind of show at times the impact of the comet and things that happen when pieces of the comet hit the Earth. I think that I don't want to spend too much time on that, because amazingly for a disaster film, that's not a big part of this movie. Not only is it not a big part of this movie, it's not particularly done well because you kind of need those special effects to pull off those scenes better. And this one doesn't. It comes across as the last couple of films with Gerard Butler, which he's become the B movie star. Any of the Olympus have fallen, London has fallen, Angel has fallen. All of those with those type of level of special effects, which is made by the same studio that this one is made by. You get those same level of effects in this movie that you got in those movies. Again, the key part of this movie to pay the most attention to is the emotional aspects of it and how people deal with this type of event happening and the government going through a selection process, and how people react to being selected, how people react to not being selected. It's just an emotional roller coaster. And In all honesty, it works for the first 20 minutes of this film, and then it doesn't. And then the movie just like nosedives out of nowhere after that first 20 minutes. And that is the problem with Greenland, is that it doesn't hold the emotional attention of the audience long enough for you to really get invested in these characters. Now, from a visual standpoint, again, besides the special effects, which are not that good, the film looks great though. It is shot beautifully. They set up the emotional moments with the shots that really make sense for this film to work. Even the story is not bad here. And this is where you get the difference between a story and a screenplay. And the screenplay clearly has flaws. The overall story is really good and could have been perfected much better if the screenplay was better. The plotting in this movie makes no, it's all over. I know I say all over the place a lot for some of these movies, but what I mean by this one being all over the place, it's that it never like gives focus on where your emotion should be drawn to. It's too many side characters, too many side plots, too many unbelievable side plots. I'll give up one where Gerard and his wife, their son gets kidnapped by this other group of people who want to use their wristbands, which are wristbands, to get into the bunker to survive. And it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Along with most of the third act of this film being absolutely ridiculous. But in the end, it's still a good escapism type of film. You're not going into disaster films expecting greatness. You're just going in and expecting to be distracted for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And Greenland does that. Unfortunately, it does depress you a little bit with the overplay of trying to pull emotions out of you. But what you expect from a low-budget film that wants to be Deep Impact but has not even a third of Deep Impact's budget or a third of Deep Impact's talent in front of the camera, because the acting here is bad. Really, really, really bad acting in this entire movie. And that, again, pulls away from the emotional moments they try to draw you in with, is that they did pick the right people to do that to you. But other than that, there's not much else to say here about this. Greenland, again, dropping on VOD, I think December the 18th in the US. Out of a possible 10, I'm going to give Greenland a 5.5 out of 10. In the end, it's still escapism. It still works on that level. Granted, the plot doesn't make sense. The story is extremely interesting. It is shot really well, but nothing else really works. The score is bad. It's a lot of things that you can tell that this film would have benefited from a great grand budget. If you gave this movie a $200 million budget and possibly had someone come in and rework the screenplay some, you could have gotten one of the best disaster films ever made. But instead, we get one that is serviceable for the time that we're in. So check it out. Again, December 18th, available on every VOD platform. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.